Okay, that's enough about me. Let's talk about your equipment, guys, because this is what makes you money. Model 100, Model 300, and the 1065. Like I said, this is the beast. Yes, it weighs a lot. It's a beast, but it will go through a block wall. You can take this and you can clear most things with this that, honestly, this will even beat most sectional machines. I don't know, a lot of you guys might not know what sectional machines are. It's a stronger machine, okay? So, this is the beast. I'm sure you guys are probably running the 300 and more of your trucks that you got before.
No,
we probably,
two 1065s and a couple of 100.
Okay.
We got one second.
So I changed one day, a few years back, I went from these machines to these machines, so I really like that, but that's a whole different story. But let's talk about the different machines. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what's expected of you guys. These are your machines. Remember I said that out there? You guys make this and you take care of it. I'm gonna make some suggestions to you guys to keep here at the shop. On our bearings here, we use, if you ever seen the blue grease, if you ever seen the new one, it's blue or green color, it's marine grease. And the reason we use it for a reason, okay? Marine grease, when it gets old, it hardens up so you can knock it off. Other grease, it actually gets all gooey and congeals and it messes up the bearings. So use marine grease. And how you do it, you literally take a wire brush or a screwdriver, knock it all off, take a small little paintbrush or your fingers and just slop it on. There's 3 sets of bearings. Two on the bottom, there's one on top. Just slop them on those bearings. That is one of the biggest things you can do to keep your machine going decently, is keep those bearings greased up, okay? Number 2 is having the bearings in the right positions. Okay, there's a sticker on the side of these, and I'm gonna go through this real quick with you guys because it's gonna be hard, but this sticker, think of it like a clock face, and translate that to this dial. How you change our cable size is you push in, and you turn, okay? Do this one. So you push in, you turn, and you pull back and it'll lock in place. So this is 0.66 cable in here. So what I want, if you look on this thing here, 0.66 cable is basically 1 o'clock. If this was a clock face. So what I would do, I'd push in, turn, pull out. That top pin is my 1 o'clock hand, okay? So think of that like a clock face. I'll fix that later before I leave. It's stuck. But you want to have, if you don't have adjusted properly, if those bearings don't hit the cable, it won't feed in and out right properly. And that's why they get hung up. So you want to do this. Okay, 300 machine is 5.5 cable. It's the dial sits at 11 o'clock. You guys are probably not going to remember this. I don't care. Call me. You know, I'm going to throw you a bunch of information. You'll know, oh, hey, Chris talked about this. I'll call him and ask him this question. Why I'm telling you about the bearings, though, is because, believe it or not, while you're dragging this thing around in the wall in your van, it'll knock in and turn and it'll go out of whack, and that'll cause it too. So the biggest thing, like I said, you want to keep this bearing up. Guys, I will give you a hard time if I come here and work on machines and there's toilet paper. I call them dingleberries hanging from your machines. Guys, there's nothing grosser than stuff hanging from. All the customers, how many guys here have had a customer walk out to their van with you? Just like follow you out. Come on, you guys, everyone's had that. So all they know is what your van looks like, okay? So if they see stuff hanging from this guy's a mess. They see your van a mess, that's all they know. The guy must not be very good, his van's all messed up. When they see a neat, clean van and they see clean equipment, I don't care how old it is, as long as it's clean, they think more highly of you. Because that's all, most customers, that's all they know is what you look like and what your machine, what your equipment and trucks look like. Guys, you're a rolling billboard for the company. Just keep that in mind. You are who the customer sees. They don't see, he's not doing the job. He's very seldom out there unless there's probably a problem. So they see you. So keep your vans clean, okay? Same with your machines. So no dingleberries, because I will give you a hard time. I hate that. Number 2 is, how can you do that? Open the back of your truck in the middle of summer? I know it's not that hot here, but it's got to stink, dude. I'm in Arizona, I know it's bad. It's hot there. My point is that's gross, okay? And it's unhealthy too for you guys, okay? So, once in a while, I recommend, if you guys are doing drains all day long, I recommend it at least every couple of weeks, if not every week. Pull this cable all the way out. Best thing to do is take Simply Green. It's the best, it works because it actually spray it on there. You can take your power washer, or you can just take a hose, you spray it on, simply green on your cable, let it sit for a few minutes, and just wash it off. And as you take the cable and you start putting it back in, you can feed it back in. Take a rag, okay? Don't buy snake oil from General. It's the worst thing. That's why I don't talk bad about anyone else's equipment, but I will tell you, do not use snake oil. General is the one that makes snake oil. It congeals. We already talked about congealing of the grease. Snake oil will congeal too. When I mean congeal, it gets all gooey and it messes up the bearings. It gets inside your drum. Best thing to do, 30 weight motor oil, guys. I had my mechanic save my motor oil. But all you do is you put a little bit on a rag, okay? Just moisten that rag, and just as you're putting the cable back away, wipe your cable down. You don't soak your cable in it or nothing like that. You just wipe it down a little bit. Our cable does not rust. We own the patent on it, guys. People pull it out all the time and say, oh, I just rusted. No, take a rag, wipe it down. It's the inside of the drum. It does not rust. Our cable is also acid resistant. Resistant is a key word here, guys. If you know a customer, and most residential customers do this, put Drano or something down their machine or down their line before you were there. When you're done doing the thing, take the cable out, take a hose, just wash it off, okay? Because if you do that, you'll have no issues. But if you don't, what happens over time, it makes that cable brittle and it breaks. That's one of the reasons that you'll see stuff like this. There's other reasons you'll see stuff like this, but that's the reason. So wash it down, okay? There's Zerk fittings on the 1065 right here, and there's one right here. Hit them up once in a while, guys. You know.
You got battery, it's grease guns, it's pretty easy.
And all you do is you hit them, and when you see the grease coming out of here and out of there, you're good. That's all it takes, guys. But it's going to make that machine run better, okay? The 300 machine. Now this is where I'm going to go and talk about more maintenance. Guys, this is your equipment. If you're using this machine, take care of it. The biggest thing on a 300 machine, let me push this out a little bit. I ran this machine a lot of my career, actually almost all my career, so I know real well. I know our equipment this one better. There's a little, right here, there's a little half-moon bracket that sits under this bracket right here, and that bracket holds this drum against this motor, okay? Well, dropping this thing in and out of trucks, moving it around, this bracket will come loose. So whenever you use this machine, I got this real scientific test, okay? I'm going to teach you guys how to test this machine to make sure it's okay. You plug it in, you push your foot on the foot pedal, let it off, and kick the back of the drum. If you feel, you'll hear it skip. The motor will actually slip off the clutch. It'll go thump. It does that, you need to adjust this, okay? It happens with this machine. What you do, adjustment is really, really easy. You loosen these two bolts up here. They're 7/16 bolts. They're right here between the swing bolts, right here. Loosen those up. Leave the machine back. Push the drum until you feel it click in place where the clutch and the motor go together. Set it back down. Tighten those bolts up. It's as simple as that, guys. That saves $100 repair. That clutch is $100. What happens is we design that clutch to be more malleable than the motor. So what happens when it skips on there, that motor actually, the cog on the motor will actually chew away the clutch. Like I said, it's $100 repair. It only takes me 10 seconds to do, but it's $100 repair. That's what leads you guys not getting new equipment, is those $100 repair, they add up. We're going to talk a little bit about cabling, okay? Guys, when you drain cleaning, it's called biting and chewing. Okay, what I mean when biting and chewing, when you've got that cable, what you want to do is you hit that blockage, you let it torque up a little bit, you pull back. Torque up a little bit, pull back. What it's doing is taking bites out of there. You're going to get through that blockage way faster, and it's more safer than if you try to push through it. What happens when you push against that blockage? You hit it, it starts to torque up, the cable starts to wrap up in that pipe. Eventually, that torque's got to go somewhere. Guess where it's going to go? It's going to do two things. One, it's going to torque all the way back. It'll flip the cable inside this drum. That's how much torque. We have more torque than anybody else in the business for our cable. It will torque and it will flip this cable around this drum. Or, the worst is, it'll flip out and it'll hurt you, okay? I meet a guy every couple months that doesn't have a few fingers, and it's because of this machine right here. This one will break your fingers and break your arms. This one will take your fingers and arms away. I'm not kidding you guys. It's true. There's two guys, ASU, Arizona State University's 2 engineers, and they're in charge. Within a month of them, they both did that. They hit a blockage with a 1065, they kept pushing on it, they wrapped up with a 6-inch line. Torque eventually came out. First guy hit him and he got his glove stuck and he ripped 2 of his fingers off. A month later, his boss did the same thing. That leads me to nothing else. You guys, gloves, you need to use staple gloves, or you use, they're called, Shubi has, they're called ugly gloves. We're actually gonna start selling them. I actually, when I was in Georgia, I set this up, but you know the little gloves that have little PVCs, and they gotta be Shubi, go over the brand, okay? They will not catch, the cables will not catch them. And do you guys have staple gloves?
Yeah.
Okay, and staple gloves are just as good. We use those too. But why you don't want to use those leather gloves or your work gloves that you use is the cable, when it comes apart, it'll grab that glove and actually pull it. I know you guys will all grab a cable with latex gloves. I mean, how it grabs it, it'll do the same thing with the leathers, believe it or not. It's just a little bit different. So that's why you want staple gloves, okay? And by the way, those staple gloves are for train cleaning only. You don't solder with them, you don't do anything else. I get my guys all the time doing it. It's because you can't, the reason I'm saying that is you can't hit a hole. They're designed that you can't really hold something, okay? That's what they're designed for. If you do those things, you're not gonna be hurt, okay? Guys, that's the biggest thing. Bite and chew. Bite and chew. A lot of guys they have problems with a sink machine or back-to-back sinks or something like that. So how do I can't get my back-to-back, you know, I can't do back-to-back sinks, I can't get it dropped so I can go down that hole. If you grabbed almost any one of my machines, even my bigger ones, there'd be a string. You can see a string usually tied to the front part of the blade. It's there for a reason. If I was trying to get down a drop in a wall, and it was like a back-to-back sink and I couldn't get it, I'd push it in and I'd pull that little string and it'd pull the cable and make that drop. It'll work the same way. You guys ever see the old cast iron? I don't know if you guys see that there. I see it in Arizona all the time. Instead of sweeps on the main lines, it'll have like a little V at the bottom of it. And you're trying to go break the cable, go one way or another. Same thing with string. When you go down, if you wanted to go this way, you have the string on this side, you pull it, they would bend it and take it that way. Same thing going back the other way. You just pull it on this side. It's just a little trick, and when you're done, take a knife, cut the string off. But I mean, my point is it makes your job that much easier to do, okay? Back-to-backs are some of the hardest thing to do, especially some like 1.5" old. You don't see 1.5" that often anymore, but old 1.5" and Motel 6s were notorious for this. They have their sinks back-to-back and you can't make that drop. They're using the wrong thing. So that's something you can do, okay? Safety-wise, guys, pay attention to your surroundings. I'm gonna tell you a story that happened to one of my guys. So Phoenix, all the power lines have been converted from overhead to below ground. I was there when that process was happening. It was plumbing for most everything. One of my guys was on a job site. If you would have paid attention when he drove up, you saw a brand new transformer over here, and you see a brand new house right here, and you would have realized that they set the directional bore. They went right through his drain line. He wasn't paying attention. He was running 1065, put it in line. Luckily, when he hit that electrical, it bounced him, because that's direct current. That's not even on a breaker or anything, except for at the substation. He hit that, and it bounced him off his machine, but he was out of work for like 3 weeks because an electricity goes through the addiction for audio. Pay attention to what's going on, guys. If you look around when you get to a job site, you can tell what's going on. Honestly, guys, you guys have been out in the field long enough that you know what a job site's going to look like and what it should be. And look for those little things that are set off alarm bells. And ask the customer, hey, did they work this for that transformer man?
So one of the biggest things for us guys is that they're having a lot of gas piping in around here, and all that's directional board. And probably about once a month, I read an article in some of our magazines about somebody went through a gas line and somebody hit it with their drain equipment. Every